This actually happened, and if you're listening alone, you might want to keep it that way. Let me know where you're listening from. I read every comment. The cabin wasn't supposed to feel like that. It wasn't fear at first. It was something quieter, like the place was waiting for us to notice it. We got there just before sunset. Long drive, no signal for the last hour, the kind of place where the road just stops. You don't pass other cars, you don't see houses, just trees, endless trees. The cabin sat back off the road, just far enough that you couldn't see it until you were almost on top of it. That should have been the first sign, but at the time, it just felt private, secluded, peaceful. That's what we told ourselves. We unloaded the car, bags, food, a couple chairs. Didn't say much, not because anything was wrong, but because the woods were already quiet. Too quiet. No wind, no insects, no birds, just still. I remember stopping for a second, listening, waiting for something normal to break that silence. Nothing did. The cabin itself looked fine. Old wood, single floor, one large window facing straight out into the trees. That window is the part I can't stop thinking about. We went inside. The air felt different, not bad, just unused, like the space hadn't been lived in for a while. Even though it was clearly maintained, we set our stuff down, walked around a bit, checked the rooms. Everything looked normal, but it didn't feel normal. It felt like we weren't the first ones there that day. We tried to shake it off. Started a fire outside. That helped. The light, the sound, the movement. It pushed the feeling back. For a while, we sat there as the sun dropped, watching the trees fade into shadow. And that's when it changed. The woods didn't just get darker, they got deeper. Like the space between the trees stretched out, like you could look into it forever and never reach the end. We went back inside not long after, locked the door. Not because we were scared, just habit. At least that's what I told myself. We sat at the table, didn't turn anything on. No TV, no music. Just sat there, listening. And after a while, I noticed something. The window. I hadn't really looked at it before, not like that. At night, it wasn't a window anymore. It was just a black shape, like a hole in the wall, and something about it felt wrong. I kept catching myself looking at it. Not directly, just out of the corner of my eye, like something was pulling my attention toward it. I told myself it was nothing, just the dark. But then, something changed. I saw it, not clearly, not enough to make out details, but enough to know. Something was standing out there, still, perfectly still, between the trees, facing the cabin, facing us. I didn't say anything at first. I just kept looking, trying to figure out what I was seeing, trying to make it make sense. But it didn't, because it wasn't moving, not shifting, not swaying, not like a person would. It just existed there, watching. I finally stood up, slowly, walked closer to the window. Every step felt heavier, like something in me was saying, "Don't get closer," but I did anyway. And as I got near the glass, it moved, not a step, not a turn. It shifted backwards, just enough to disappear into the dark. Gone. No sound, no branches moving, no footsteps, just gone. I stood there for a second, waiting, expecting something else to happen. Nothing did. I went outside, checked the ground, shined a light into the trees. Nothing. No footprints. No sign. Anything had been there. Just woods. Endless woods. I went back inside, closed the door, locked it again. This time, not out of habit. And I didn't sit near that window again, because something about it felt different now. Like it wasn't just a window, like it was a place something could stand and watch us from. And the worst part, it didn't feel like it left. It felt like it just stepped back, out of sight. Some places don't feel empty until you realize they never were. Drop line. Would you stay in that cabin or leave that night? The next one was worse, because this time it didn't stay outside. It wasn't the window that scared me the most. It was the door, because the door is supposed to mean something. It's supposed to keep things out. We didn't plan on staying more than 2 nights, just a quick trip. Get out of the city, clear our heads. The first night was off, nothing we could explain, just that feeling, like the cabin didn't belong to us. We didn't talk about it much, just went to bed early, tried to ignore it. The second night was different. The fire outside didn't last long. It wouldn't stay lit, kept dying down, no matter how much we fed it. That should have been the moment we went inside, locked everything up, and left in the morning. But we stayed. That's the part I keep coming back to. We stayed. Inside it felt closer, not safer. Closer, like whatever was out there was right up against the cabin now. We locked the door, checked it twice. Deadbolt, handle, solid. I remember pulling on it, just to make sure it didn't move. That should have been enough. We turned off the lights, sat in the dark for a while, listening. The woods were quiet again. That same kind of quiet from the night before. Not peaceful, empty. Time passed, minutes, maybe longer, and then something touched the door. Not a knock, not a bang, a touch. Soft, like someone testing it. We both froze, didn't move, didn't speak. It came again, a slow drag across the wood, from the top, down to the handle, like fingers, feeling it, learning it. My heart started pounding. I looked at him. He was already staring at the door. We didn't need to say anything. We both heard it. We both knew. Then, the handle moved, slow, careful, not forced, like whoever was on the other side knew exactly how it worked. The metal clicked just once. The door didn't open. The deadbolt held, but the handle kept turning back and forth, testing, like it was trying to figure out why it wouldn't open. I wanted to get up, check it, do something, but I couldn't move. Something in me said, "Don't go near that door." The handle stopped. For a second, everything was quiet again, and then 3 knocks. Slow, even, deliberate, not loud, not aggressive, controlled, like it knew we were right there on the other side. We didn't answer, we didn't move, we just sat there, waiting. And that's when it happened. The deadbolt shifted, just slightly, not enough to unlock, but enough to move. Like something on the other side was applying pressure, testing it, pushing, learning. I felt my chest tighten, because that wasn't possible, not without force. And whatever was out there wasn't using force. It was being careful, patient, like it had all the time in the world. The pressure stopped. The door went still, and for a moment, I thought it was over. Then, footsteps, right outside, slow, moving away from the door, around the cabin, crunch, pause, crunch, not running, not hiding, just walking, like it knew we weren't going anywhere. We stayed up the rest of the night, didn't speak, didn't move, just listened. As it circled the cabin, every few minutes, coming back to the door, touching it, reminding us it was still there. Morning finally came. Light through the window, birds again, normal sounds. We got up slowly, walked to the door. Neither of us wanted to open it, but we had to. I unlocked the deadbolt, opened it just enough to look outside. Nothing, no one there, no footprints, no marks on the wood, nothing, just the woods. Quiet again, like nothing ever happened. But before we closed the door, I noticed something, right where the handle was, on the outside. Faint marks, not scratches, not dents, impressions, like something had been gripping it for a long time. The door is supposed to keep things out, but whatever was out there already knew how to get in. Drop line. If you heard that handle turn, are you opening that door or not? After that night, we thought we understood what was happening. We didn't. Story 3. The second room. The cabin only had one bedroom. That's what the listing said. One bedroom, one door, nothing else. We checked when we got there, that first day, walking through the place. Kitchen, living area, bathroom, one bedroom. That was it. No hallway, no extra doors, nothing you could miss. We even joked about it, how small it was, how there was nowhere for anything to hide. That didn't feel funny later. After the second night, we didn't sleep, not really, just laid there, listening, waiting for something to happen again. But nothing did. That was worse, because when it's quiet like that, your mind doesn't relax. It just waits. Morning came slow, gray light through the window. Everything looked normal again, too normal, like the cabin had reset itself. We didn't talk much, just started packing. Neither of us said it out loud, but we both knew we weren't staying another night. I went to grab my bag from the bedroom. That's when I noticed it. The wall, right across from the bed. Something about it felt off. I couldn't explain it. It looked the same wood, same color, but something about the space felt different. Like it wasn't supposed to be there. I stepped closer, ran my hand along it, and that's when I felt it. A seam, faint, almost impossible to see, but you could feel it. A line in the wood, perfectly straight, from top to bottom. I looked at him. He saw it too. Didn't say anything, just walked over, pressed on it. Nothing. Solid, at least. It felt solid, but I couldn't shake the feeling. That wasn't a wall. I don't know why, but I reached for it, pressed harder, and then it moved, just slightly, enough to make a sound, a low, wooden shift. We both froze, because that shouldn't have been possible. There wasn't supposed to be anything there. I pushed again, slower this time. The seam widened, and the wall opened, just enough to see inside. Dark, completely dark, like the light from the room didn't want to go in. I grabbed my phone, turned the flashlight on, pointed it through the opening, and that's when I saw it. Another room, small, bare, no furniture, just walls and a floor, but the floor had marks, not random, not damage, paths worn into the wood, like something had been moving in there, over and over, in the same pattern, back and forth, back and forth. I felt my stomach drop, because that room wasn't on the outside of the cabin. It was inside, between the walls, hidden. There was no reason for it to exist, no reason for those marks to be there. We stood there for a long time, just staring into it, trying to understand what we were looking at. And then I heard it, not from outside, not from the woods, from inside that room. A shift, soft, like something adjusting its weight. We both stepped back instantly. The light shook in my hand. I pointed it back in. Nothing, just that empty space, those marks on the floor. But it didn't feel empty anymore. It felt like something had been standing just out of the light, watching us, the same way it had from the window, the same way it had from the door, only now it wasn't outside. I shut the wall, hard, didn't think about it, just pushed it closed, back into place, like it had never opened. We grabbed our stuff, didn't pack properly, didn't clean up, just got out as fast as we could, didn't look back, didn't stop, and we never talked about that room again. Until later, when I started thinking about it, really thinking about it, because that space, that room inside the walls, it didn't have an entrance from outside. No door, no window, nothing. Which means whatever was in there didn't need one. The cabin only had one room, until we found the second one, and whatever was inside it was already there before we arrived. Drop line. If you found that room, are you opening it or walking away? If you made it this far, you already know. Some places don't stay empty. Comment, I stayed, so I know who actually made it through. And if you're still here, Subscribe, because these stories only get darker from here. I'll see you in the next one.